Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. Welcome to February. It is the first day of February, so I thought that we would kind of split the video today and that I would read a meditation and then I would address a comment that I received on a previous video that I did and talk about that a little bit. So first, I want to read a meditation. I went in and I looked at several meditations, just the titles of them, and I ended up picking from Melody Beatty's Journey to the Heart. The meditation for today is called Transcend Your Limitations. So let's get right into reading this. February 1st. February 1st. Transcend your limitations. You're free now. Free to take the journey of a lifetime. Free to experience life in its newness, its freshness, its magic, in a way you never have before. The only limitations on you are the ones you've placed on yourself. Your prison has been of your own making. Don't blame or chastise yourself. Life has created certain challenges for you, but the purpose hasn't been to imprison you. The purpose has been to set you free, to provide you with lessons, experiences, circumstances that would trigger growth and healing. Life has been provoking, promoting, urging you to grow, stretch, learn, heal. Life has been trying to break you out of your prison. Set yourself free. Let yourself go on a journey of love. Take notes. Be present. Experience. Learn. Love and laugh. And cry when you need to. Rest when you're tired. Take a flashlight to help you see in the dark. But most of all, take yourself and go. Go on your journey of joy. And I really like this meditation. I think often in life, we do not give ourselves permission to be on our own journey or feel the emotions, which I'm going to talk about in just a second, feel the emotions that we need to feel or set the boundaries that we need to set in our lives. I think in life, we're often more concerned with what people think about us or what people are going to think about the choices that we make or how people are going to respond to the choices that we make, you know? One of the things that my best friend and I talk about a lot is that the more boundaries that we set in our lives that people aren't used to, right? Like if I set boundaries with people, and for a very long time, I have been, allowing them to treat me with whatever ways that they think is appropriate to treat me. And I've just been allowing it for a long time, right? Because I am a believer that we teach people how to treat us. And so not like when we're children, but as adults, that we teach people how to treat us. So if we feel that people in our lives are not treating us appropriately, that's because we've allowed it to some degree, right? Okay, so then when we go in and we start setting boundaries, let's say we say to those people, I don't really like how you speak to me, or it hurts my feelings when you speak to me that way, and I'm not going to allow it in the future, and if you continue to speak to me that way, you're not going to be around me, or, we stop hanging out with those people, or whatever we need to do for ourselves, right? For our own self-preservation and taking care of ourselves and self-care and all of that, right? When we talk about self-care, that's all important. When we set those boundaries with people, then what happens is typically people aren't used to that sometimes. Like they expect us to continue to just go along with whatever. And so you'll hear things like, why are you being this way? Or why are you being so nasty? Or even going so far as to call us names and say like, why are you being a bee about this? Like this is just, I'm just joking. Like, have you ever heard that? Like when you've heard for years, somebody will say something to you and it's very hurtful to you. The things that they say are very, very hurtful to you, but you don't ever say anything about it because the friendship, the relationship, the family relationship, whatever, romantic relationship is more important to you than dealing with whatever issue it is. Well, at some point in taking care of ourselves, the self-care part of that, when we say, okay, enough is enough, I'm not going to tolerate this anymore, and we say, I can't handle that, and I'm going to say something about it, then when we do, those people sometimes look at us and they go, I'm just joking, like, you can't handle a joke, like, what's wrong, right? And so then the issue is about us. Then they make the issue about us. And I think that anybody that goes through setting healthy limits and boundaries in their life, that's something that you're going to deal with. Is that you're going to deal with people not knowing what to do with this new version of yourself. And that's okay. Over time, they will get used to the new version of yourself until they realize, it's not okay for me to talk to you this way. It's not okay for me to treat you this way. And maybe I've been taking this person for granted. And what I have found in my life, okay, is that those people that respect my boundaries and limits are the people that continue to stay in my life. And those people that don't are the people that are gone from my life. And it has been sad that over the years, over many, many years, I have lost people in my life. But when I look back on it, yes, we had great times. Yes, there were people that were important to my life at, a reason, a season, or a lifetime. But at the same time, when I look back on it, keeping the relationship was not as important to me as the self-preservation and the self-care, right? And so we have to allow ourselves to be on this journey of freedom. We have to say, what I need to do with my life, what I want to do with my life, right, is more important to me than anything else. And this can go as far as if you're in school and let's say you want to study art, but your parents and your family are like, no, you need to study accounting. Well, it's your life. It's your journey, right? And I think there's I've heard that conversation, since I was in school with people, or where you move, or the neighborhood that you move in, or who you are in a romantic relationship with, or on and on and on, right? And so we spend so much of our lives appeasing other people. At what expense? And I think the expense is our own happiness, and our own journey. And so at some point you have to say, okay, my life, this one life that I have, this is my journey. And I'm going to take it back, and I'm going to do the things that make me happy. I'm going to set the boundaries and limits that I want to set, and I'm going to allow myself to sprout my wings and fly. And I'm going to enjoy this journey as much as I can. And you deserve that, you deserve that, to take control back over your life and to say what goes and what doesn't go in your life. But that being said, I will tell you that when you start doing that, people don't like that. Because they don't know what to do with it, right? And it's not just like all of a sudden people are going to embrace that and be like, I'm so happy that you're making choices that make you happy. It's uncomfortable for people. I think it's also uncomfortable for people because the majority of the people out there, they don't live these lives of free journeys. They just don't, much of their lives, they've gone along with the status quo. And so when somebody does something different and somebody is following their dreams or doing something that makes them happy, that scares them. That's fearful to them. That's scary to them because they would like to be doing that, but they don't know how to do that, right? So, I think for me, when people say, I don't really care what other people think about me, I've said this for a long time, I can't say that. There are people in my life that I care what they think about me. I care what my husband thinks about me. I care what my cousin thinks about me. I care what my dad and my stepmom and my best friend and my sponsor think about me and, my other friends. But outside of that kind of small circle, no, I really don't care. Because first of all, most people don't really know what's going on with me anyway to know why I'm making the decisions that I'm making, and I can't possibly explain to the entire world why I make the decisions I make, right? So at some point you have to stop trying to appease everybody, and you have to go, I'm going to live my life the way that I see fit. It's my life, and I'm going to allow myself to have my journey because you deserve it. So I think it's a great meditation. Okay, the comment that I wanted to address today, and I actually got fantastic comments on the last video that I did, but I wanted to talk about this comment that I got. And this person reached out and said, Peter, can you please offer advice on dealing with instructive and negative thoughts and not letting emotions control us? Thank you. And I think it's an interesting, question and asking about emotions controlling us. And I often talk about being on an emotional roller coaster and how hard that is, and the emotional hangover that you have from being on an emotional roller coaster. And I just had my therapy session today, and we were talking about that. My last session, I was crying and and I was all over the place and whatever, And I said it was really healthy for me. I needed to get that out. I needed to say the things that I was saying. I needed to express them in the way that I was expressing them. But sometimes for me, when I am feeling an emotion, whether that's anger or happiness or excitement or sadness, you know, if I'm crying my eyes out, like 15 minutes later, I'm okay. You know, I don't need 20 people around me going, are you okay? Are you okay? Yes, I'm fine. I just needed to express an emotion. You know, I just needed to allow myself to be in that emotion. And that would be the first thing that I would say is don't ever deny yourself feeling an emotion. Don't maybe want to get stuck in that emotion. I don't want to get stuck in emotions. I don't want to be stuck in sadness for long periods of time. And if you're feeling that way, I would suggest reaching out for, you know, some professional help, because maybe it's something that's bigger than just sadness, you know? Maybe it's something bigger than just being stuck in these emotions and being controlled by these emotions, you know? It could be, you know, something that you need to talk to a professional about. I don't know. But I know for me, one of the things that I have learned, you know, I know this surprises people when I talk about it because I cry in videos and, you know, get very passionate in videos and things like that. But when I was growing up, and I would even say until, I don't know, 3 or 4 years sober, maybe even long past that, I just wasn't a super, like, emotional person on any spectrum. Like, I didn't cry a lot, and I didn't get excited a lot, and, you know, I didn't have these big, like, highs and lows, and I didn't really allow myself to feel my emotions. I didn't really know what to do with it, you know? I think growing up and being bullied so much, I kind of learned to never bring any emotional attention to myself, so I just kind of stayed silent. Like, that was one of the things I learned, was that if I don't draw any attention to myself, then people kind of, like, they ignore you after a while, right? And so in my adult life, I did that as well, and I would, you know, not express emotions, not show emotions, and whatever. I guess it was really when I started coming back into the rooms of recovery, and I really, to some degree, hadn't really grieved the loss of my mom. And I can remember after I started feeling, well, I shared this not too long ago on here, but I had heard this lead, and this woman was like, you know, how are you doing? And every day this woman would say, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. And then finally one day she said, I'm not okay. And when I had that moment and I said to my friend, you know, after a meeting one day, I'm not okay, it was like kind of like the dam broke a little bit for me emotionally, and I was able to start really sharing like what was, and I'm sure a lot of it didn't make sense by the looks of the faces in the meeting, of people in the meetings, because I would just be like, oh, and my mom, and yada, yada, and I'd be bawling my eyes out, and people would just be like, what's going on, you know? And I don't really care. Like, that's what I needed to do at that time, you know, and I can remember just like listening to a lot of music and, you know, whatever. And it was interesting because, so I did this video on my drama channel yesterday, and at the beginning of it, I talked about Cindy Williams that was in Laverne and Shirley. And I started talking about, like, it brought back this memory of my mom and I when I was a little kid brushing my teeth. And I started crying in the video. I started crying in a drama video, you know. I think there are probably a lot of people that would, you know, stop the video and restart it and edit that part out or whatever. I don't really care. Like, for me, I think it's really healthy to express our emotions. I think it's really healthy to show expressing our emotions and to be able to see that in other people and to see that that's okay. Like I said, I don't want to be stuck in that all the time. I don't want to be stuck in these periods of anger or resentment. Like, that is not helpful to me. Resentment is a #1 offender in recovery. And it just doesn't make me very happy for very long, you know? I also don't want to be stuck in sadness, you know? I also don't want to be stuck in complacent joy or excitement, because I think for me, like, it's not a very realistic look at life to think that everything is wonderful and cherries. I mean, you have to look at it with some kind of reality check, you know? That being said, I do like to look at things from a point of gratitude. If you watch my vlogs, you know I just bought a bunch of steno pads. There's the green one is sitting over there on my desk, and I am starting tonight. I'm going to start doing a written gratitude list of 10 things every single night. So if you'd like to join me, feel free to join me. I'm going to write them at the end of the day. I'm borrowing kind of like the Rhonda Byrne magic book, and also, I don't know who it's by, but it's called Simple Abundance, and Oprah talked about it years ago, where throughout the day you look for 10 specific things that you're grateful for. And that can be anything from a cup of coffee to a fantastic meditation that you read to anything. It can be whatever you want to, and then be grateful for. And then at the end of the day, you write these 10 things down. For you, it could be 2 things or 5 things or 20 things, whatever, 15 things. But I'm going to start doing that because for me, when I am living from a point of gratitude, then I see the world in a completely different way. And even if I am feeling angry or I am feeling sad, and I think, what's interesting is that we talk about being emotional. And for me, sadness and anger are emotions that are kind of tough for me to work out of sometimes. Like I would say that they are, like when we talk about the grand scheme of emotions, like I've said, if you get online and you look up emotions charts, there's like hundreds of emotions, right? And we always think of just like 5. But I think when we think about weightier emotions, like for me, like sadness is one that like when I'm in sadness, like it really drags me down. And so I have to be very cognizant of that. And I have to be very aware of that. And so then to be sad or angry, because I think anger is another one of those that I have to be very careful with, and then look at that from a point of gratitude and go, yes, but look at everything that you have in your life, okay? Then it takes that and it turns it, right? And then also the emotional response to that and what's happened in me feeling these emotions isn't like, it's not pointless, if that makes sense. So my answer to you would be, first of all, if it's becoming overwhelming, seek professional help. The second thing I would say to that is, don't beat yourself up for feeling your emotions. I think it's healthy to feel your emotions. There's a lot of people that are unable to feel their emotions, when I did start grieving my mom, what I would do is I would allow myself, like if a song came on the radio and I just felt completely just overwhelmed, I'd say, okay, I'm going to let myself feel this feeling for 10 or 15 minutes and then I'm going to kind of move on. And I would sit there and listen to some songs and I would just bawl my eyes out and then I would go on with my day. And I allowed myself to have an emotional response to that, And that's, like I said before, that's part of our journey, And that's redefining our journey, is allowing ourselves to also have this emotional response to the world around us. And that is healthy, I can remember I had a friend of mine that back in the day, she would say, if I can't cry about it, it must not have meant anything to me to begin with. I'm talking about large things that had happened in her life. And I think it's such a poignant point, to say that, like, if we don't have an emotional response to the big things that happen in our life, then really what's it about anyway? And I don't know about you, but I want to have a life that seems to have purpose and meaning and fulfillment to me, and, and have this emotional response. And so if I'm going through life and something happens and I have an emotional response to it, I don't have to be overwhelmed by it. I don't have to allow myself to be stuck in it. I don't have to be on this emotional roller coaster or have an emotional hangover. I can allow myself limits. I can journal about it. I can do a gratitude list. I can talk to somebody professionally. Like I have my therapist and my sponsor to talk to about that. Well, my sponsor's not professional, but you know what I mean. But I have my therapist to talk to about those things. And then I can allow myself to move through that and continue to grow, and say, well, this is how I'm going to work on these emotions and things like that. But I think to be human is to also have emotional reactions and responses to the world around us. And since I've allowed myself to become a more emotional person, my life has only become fuller, it's only become more enriched. And because I think I look at things and I feel things on a deeper level, and I don't ever want to lose that, So anyway, let me know what you think about all of that in the comment section below. Welcome to February. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.